Good question. On my last trip, I didn't. Um, you can do, you can do a bunch of research on Amazon, and what I find, or at least for me, what I found was I did research into categories that I wanted to launch in. My goal was to diversify our products because we are really heavily vested in specific niches, and I wanted to diversify our product sets. Uh, and so what I did was I did just research in categories that I wanted to launch in, home goods, like kitchenware, pets, things of that type. And then I went and found out what was available in the market. Um, Looked at what was available in the market for those categories, took the information that I gathered the first day looking at those categories or those different products from the different vendors, and then I went and researched those products that were available on Amazon and determined which ones I was going to pull the trigger on, and then the next day I actually made the purchases. So the way I do it is I'll go 6 days. The first day I'm researching the vendors, looking for the manufacturers, determining the product, looking and seeing what looks like a viable product in the price range and size and colors that I'm looking for. Then I'll go that night and actually pull out my laptop and do the research on Amazon to see if there is a spot, if I can get that product ranked, if it makes sense to launch that product. Because there are certain areas, let's say, for example, supplements. I'm just going to use that one because it's a very competitive area, and there's a lot of people there. And when you go into those areas, you start looking and seeing that these people have, 2 or 3 thousand reviews and tons of feedback, and they're selling thousands of units a month. And to launch that type of a product didn't make sense. So I was able to look and say, hey, you know what? I think I can launch a product in this space because there's a gap, or there's the ability for me to get it up on the first page without breaking the bank and giving away 12 million units to get up there and be able to do it. I was able to do that research, find that information, and then the next day I just went and made my purchases. And then on the third day, I did the same thing, went and researched in the other categories I wanted to launch in, found the manufacturers that had product, looked at the products that they had available, and went back that evening and determined, are there any of those that I can actually launch? Found which ones I wanted to pull the trigger on. The next day I went back and bought them again. So basically I had 3 days of shopping and looking at products, and 3 days of actually making purchases in a 6-day trip to China. But I did not do a whole lot of research up front. Now I do know people who will do the research. They'll do the research ahead of time, come with a 3-ring binder, and they'll have pictures right out of Amazon of the product that they're looking to launch, and then they'll go and try to find those products. And for me, that it was harder to try to find one specific product in a market that large than it was to just figure out the category and find out what was available in that category, and then see if any of those products that were available in that category were ones that I felt comfortable in making a purchase on and launching. Hopefully that helps answer that question, but that was a great question.
I think so. We've got some newer sellers asking some different questions related to this, Alan. So, actually, one other quick thing I wanted to mention, Alan. I just thought of this when you were saying that if people go to either the link on the screen or ChinaSupersourcing.com, ChinaSupersourcing.com, which is our trip page, and they scroll down, there's a blue section that actually walks through an 8-day trip with us. And so that's a really good kind of visual and written representation that anybody on the line right now could go to and check that out. and so they can see kind of what an 8-day trip would be like. It's pretty detailed.